everybody. We are on Wednesday. We've made it. It's hump day. Welcome to Wednesday Wine with Ana Belaval. I am Ana Belaval coming to you live from Chicago, and I am so excited that you guys are joining us today because today I have some of my favorite women ever joining me. Usually, my girlfriends Lori and Wendy and I get together once a week, especially during the pandemic, and chat and let it all out. And then one time we said, let's do it on Instagram Live. And we really loved it. We loved sharing our craziness with you and our deep thoughts. And that's what we decided to do today on Wednesday Wine with Ana Belaval. So I'm glad that you're all here. Please, please, please tell me where you're joining us from. What are you drinking? Hello, Brenda from Berwyn. Today I have the same bottle of wine, not the same one. I'm not going to tell you how many I've had since last Wednesday, but it's the same type of red wine because sometimes you guys think that I do this for the wine, and that's where I'll never make the money because I never think like, ooh, I could really make this wine thing happen, and then people will send me wines. Pero a mí se me olvida, and what I do is that by the time I get to Wednesday, I just want the wine that El Americano bought me, and I'm just going to drink it. Okay? So salud, congratulations. Wait a minute. Taina, you're joining us from Brooklyn. Girl. Welcome from the NYC. Bueno, no, porque Brooklyn es otra cosa. Clase aparte. Marita, how are you? Chicago, and Thomas having a Coors Light. We won't judge. They like Coors Light a lot in this city. Me parece interesante. Hello from Bolingbrook. Hi, Derek. Oswego, and she's drinking, or you are drinking, a summer shandy. I like that. That's when we start with the summer stuff, the spritzers and the rosé and the summer shandy and all that kind of stuff. That's good. Hello, Michelle from Roselle. Kamiko from Blue Island. Oh, that's right. Ron, you don't drink. It doesn't matter. We won't judge. Have your water. Have whatever you want. And we will toast to you. So, let's see. We have like 100. El Americano, that's my husband. My mom does not like it when I call him El Gringo. She does not like it. She finds it offensive. I don't know. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and it took my mother a while to understand that when you say El Gringo here is not offensive, but when you say it on the island, she finds it offensive. It's a lot to unravel with my mom. So, someone said, try Viking Blood Mead. No. Hasta ahí llegamos. El mead is not for me. Mi prima Citita, siempre hay una prima cola. Today I have Wendy Mateo, which means the Mateo family is going to just populate this message board because wait till you see. We're going to have Mateos coast to coast, because that's how we are. Miss Melissa Dupre, we need to have a conversation separately, Miss Melissa, because I have some thoughts about you, who you should be dating after this craziness of the 50 blind dates. Porque yo quedé mala con el último, but Wendy is not letting me just settle. We got to move forward. All right. My ex calls me gringo and it doesn't bother you. Good, Derek. I'm glad it doesn't bother you. Elvira or Elvira, it's offensive here too. She goes, okay, my mom's always right. I am going to start trying tequila, Michael. I bought Casamigos, which everyone calls the George Clooney one, and I'm going to start trying it soon. My husband bought me a small bottle because it's expensive. All right. So there you go. There's a Cubano tonight. Hay un Cubano hoy. No sé, Melissa. No sé. Because that other guy, first, you have to watch 50 Blind Dates with Melissa Dupre. You just have to watch it. Anyway. Oh, someone does Tito's vodka. I like how you think. Pomegranate flavored tequila is delicious. I hope that's what you're drinking, Angelica. 100 años tequila. No, I'm going to have to reveal secrets that I can't. The tequila and I have to take it easy. There doesn't seem to be anything strong enough for the year 2020. Espérate, I'm going to put that up because I think, Jenny, there doesn't seem to be anything strong enough for the year 2020. So tonight I'll stick it with a cab. There you go. I love it. I love it because there is nothing that we cannot handle with a nice wine. All right. So I'm super, super excited because my girls and I haven't spoken in a while. We needed like a hiatus because a lot of stuff was going on in the world and we were overwhelmed. We were raw. We were, oh my God, trying to heal our wounds and figure out what we were doing and with our own lives, right? And we needed a little break. But I am so, so happy that my girls can join me tonight. They are a staple of Chicago theater and comedy. You've seen them on TV, on the stage, in film. They direct, produce, write. Ellas hacen de todo. O sea, ellas hacen de todo. Lo mismo se hacen rolos que papelillo. Así son. We know them as the Venezuelan, but esta es Lori.
Hey!
La alta. Y esta es Wendy. La bajita.
Por eso yo pongo el asiento más tall.
Hasta ahora estás pasada, porque ahora no. Bájate un chin.
Ay, espérate, ¿cómo es esto?
Bájate un chin. There you
Esta
go.
cámara
There you
está
go.
weird.
No,
Okay.
She is
now
very
you're Napoleon. Now she's Napoleon. She came
I don't know
conquer.
what. I'm in a new platform. I'm like, what is this? I can't figure it out.
How are you, ladies?
Tan.
You know,
Very tan.
we've
From
been
the
outside, honey.
outsideness.
That's all we
Yes.
can do is just be outside as long as you can. Get that vitamin
I
D
think-
in, porque
I have never been, and this is me tanned, as you know, because I am the lightest skinned Puerto Rican you'll ever meet. I am color cadáver. When I have to buy a foundation, I go corpse crease. So this is me with a tan. Now, que mírame las patitas. Las patitas todavía las tengo.
Ay.
This is not tanned.
That's
This
yeah.
is-
You gotta let your legs in.
You
on
gotta
the
get out
action
there.
that your
Get
face
out
is
there.
getting.
I am
you
on
can
that
borrow a
rooftop with
piece
that
of my
10-year-old.
backyard if you ever need, just
I know.
The
I
sun-
get
know.
away from me now.
The west sun setting
Mhm.
is giving me skin cancer.
Are you putting stuff on? Are you putting stuff
Yo
on?
soy hija de la montaña, mami.
Anda.
Aquí yo
Ya
no
venga
tengo
de
rosa.
Machu Picchu
Okay.
y todo.
Aquí tengo sangre de indio. And I'm not joking. I'm telling you truths. So
We will show you
I
the
have
ancestry
a
results.
new growth, but I think it's gonna be fine.
See, this is the problem.
Melissa
we
said
sit
my
there with-
babies, la alta y la negra.
Exacto.
This is true.
We this is so funny because this is like one of those myths. I know I don't need sunblock, and then you go to the dermatologist for the
No.
first time at age 65, and
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah,
They're like, your life is over.
no, yeah.
You got 2 weeks. You're like, fine, I lived it, didn't I? Didn't
It's
I?
tough because I did not. I did not come
I-
to that reality later, and we lived in Florida, and that Florida sun, we were
We
just
used the
like,
baby
whatever.
I want to know
That's
who
what I was
did the
just gonna
baby
tell you.
oil. The baby oil.
with
and
likes and hearts. With likes and hearts, tell us who did the baby oil, and who did the what else did you say?
Did you do the in the hair? What was it?
Co-
El
Sonin.
sonin,
Oh,
el
sonin.
sonin, Lena, sonin,
Stunning.
el sonin.
Oh, that's how they said it in Puerto Rico. Sonin.
El sonin.
Yeah.
El sonin. I did zanahoria. I did aceite de carrot.
Well,
Oh.
I had not heard of
Coca-Cola.
this Puerto Rican way. We
I
were
did not
just
know about
baby oiling up in Miami, Florida.
Mira, someone did. Belisa, you did baby oil con
Con
achiote.
achote. You were trying to
Hardcore.
just really turn that skin color. Okay, I like
We
that.
would lay topless in our backyard, and we would just soak it down to the nipples,
Yeah.
all the way.
Oh, I've never
Mhm.
burned my
All the way.
boobs like that. No.
Yeah,
I know it's
Ustedes que
dangerous.
son de Miami.
yeah, that's a very
Ustedes que son de
Florida thing.
Miami.
Mhm.
Once we
Very
got to
Florida.
Chicago, it was hard to come back to this. This is quarantine. You have to take the kids out. You have to walk them
Mhm.
around, and then you're doing yard work. Y se te pone la piel marroncita.
Esta dice sun in or touch of sun.
Oh, touch
Yeah.
of sun.
Mira para allá.
Or just good
Touch of
old
sun.
lemon
Oil y
juice. Wasn't it
Coca-Cola.
lemon
Oh my
juice?
God.
Sí, una amiga usaba baby oil y Coca-Cola.
Oh, y
Puerto Ricans
Coca-Cola.
use the Coca-Cola a lot.
It's got
That
a lot
is
of properties.
hilarious. I've never
Y
heard of
también para limpiar. Coca-Cola es para limpiar también. It takes the rust out of
I
things.
know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
have you
that's true.
noticed that we've lost our pigmentation after we've moved to the polar vortex?
I've lost my pigmentation and I've grown hair in places that I had never grown hair before.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because of a combination of the cold and hormones or whatever's happening to me.
A COVID hormone.
COVID, I didn't say that, but that's great. COVID hormones are awesome.
COVID?
And I am
They're a
raging
new
with
kind of
them.
hormone.
COVID hormones.
I'm going to end up after this live shot in Chumba because I couldn't turn on the fan because I had to charge the computer. So both enchufes are compromised and I couldn't turn on my premenopausal fan. So I don't want to be, no quiero tener bochorno, but I want to warn you.
Well, I would
Christian
never.
says mucha información. I told you, Christian.
Listen.
You've been warned. I put it in the description. You were going to need some hard liquor because we don't speak before the show.
No.
This is
catching up live.
This is just really just us. With a little tiny bit of censorship of ourselves.
Exacto. Like Regis and Kathy Lee. Or like my mom used to call.
Casi igual.
Mi mamá le decía, mi mamá thought that the name of that show was Regis and Philbin.
Regis and Philbin. That's like my mom with 9021582. You could never get the zip code right. I'm like, Mommy, Beverly Hills 90210. Oh my
God.
She doesn't have time for all those numbers to get numbers straight.
Ladies, look what just came in from Chicayala.
What happened?
Baby oil with mercurochrome.
Oh, my mom used to use that for my wound.
Eso no era yodo. Eso era yodo.
So it is both frying your skin and simultaneously healing it.
Healing.
Oh,
like
maybe that's why. Yeah.
Gracias,
I like
Christian.
that.
He says he's blessing us now after we giving him too much information.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yo no pedí por tu bendición, pero.
Y que me veo medio pálida hoy porque no me puse buen lipstick. I think you wear something darker.
You're just
bueno, I was going to ask you, is it okay?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm in overalls with safety pins. You're fine.
Oh, you've given up.
You know what? I'm giving in. I'm not giving up.
You're leaning.
I really like that. Can we pin that? Can somebody write that down for us?
Espérate, I'm going to make it
I'm not giving up. I'm giving in.
Yeah. I'm a walking napkin. I have a 15-month-old con moco.
This kid will eat your face. First of all, he doesn't care.
Washed a T-shirt that I had and then dried it and looked at the rim of it, and there was dried baby moco. That's where I'm at. Target has a lot of napkin clothes that I'm
napkin clothes. You're like, great. This is a linen. It's just one. I'm wearing a linen for you, child.
Yeah.
You don't know how many times you're gonna go to work when we all go back to work at some point, and you'll be like, "Ay madre, that was spit up, and I'm on the air now."
Yeah.
Lori told me that we went all the way to LA, and I left my child here. So clearly, I packed a dirty shirt.
Oh yeah.
And we're like in an elevator, and Lori's like, "What is?"
We're going. That was the same. See, we were going to do a pitch meeting because we were in our fancy LA doing the LA fancy thing, and Wendy's has a vomit shirt y se le rompió los pantalones.
Oh, that's right.
También. And she was like, "Girl, my pants just broke in the elevator." And I was like, "Wendy, oh my God." She's like, "Give me your." I'm there giving her my shirt so she can tie it around her waist and make it so that her pants don't fall.
Like if she had her period.
It was a scarf. I look like a,
a scarf.
You know how you do the scarf like a triangle, and I look like a gitana, neo gitana.
We're like, we'll just walk the diversity walk, and they won't say anything.
Clearly, it was successful.
To the diversity. No one.
Yeah.
That went great.
That went great. Listen, it's like we're running out of like supersticiones, right? We're running out of supersticiones. We're like, if I wear this, maybe I'll get that, and then you don't get it, and I'm like, I'm gonna burn that shirt.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't attach to things that much or else, just
Like
a closet
I
for a
never.
loft, you know.
Espérate, I'm gonna write that too. Hold on.
Okay.
Espérate. A clo- Your career in Hollywood, a closet full of loss.
A closet full of loss. Is that what she said? That's
A
great.
closet
It is.
Oh my God, I'm
full
crying.
of loss.
She has so much clothes, Wendy. I can't make sense of it. Right? She has clothes from
Who?
10 years ago, honey. She's
I
got
do.
things
It's
that
still
she
in good
knows.
condition.
That's how I
Hold on
am.
to.
That's how I am.
Still in good condition.
That's the problem.
Still
Like,
in the rotation.
yeah. The problem is that after you have kids, you can't air things out anymore because that's when you get in
Mhm.
trouble. Like in the wintertime, I try not to wash things constantly. I'm like, pero
Right.
si no sudé, I didn't sweat, and you
Right.
just hang it.
Right.
But after
Right.
you have kids, they're spitting on you or you're sweating
Yeah.
if you are over 40. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mira,
Oh,
Jenny Amy says,
Mhm.
I went to work with boogers on my shoulder and baby powder butt print on my black pants. The dream.
It is living the dream, honey. There were women
You
that
are
could not do
doing
that
it.
before. They were at the house only, and that's not bad because at the house means that you are working your ass off.
The
So
whole
I'm
24/7.
very familiar with the work from home. But those of us that like yearn to have that balance somehow to be able to work and have baby butt powder on your pants. Esa es la consecuencia.
Exactly.
Because
Of
we
having
can
it
have
all.
it.
You're having it
Because
all.
we can have it all.
We
can
can
have it
and
all.
we have it all.
We have
the
it all.
powder on
Everything.
todo. The
The
spit
thing is
up
that
on
we
the
don't have
shirt.
it at the same
You
right.
want
We
it
don't
all,
have it
and
at
you
the
get to
same
manage
time.
the family calendar. You get to do your own career. You get to, all of it.
Today, speaking on these, because I always love to get into that area of what we do and what our husbands don't. And
Yeah.
I was at the Whole Foods this morning,
Mhm.
and
Fancy at the Whole Foods.
pues fui a comprar tahini sauce, honey, and it's hard to find in all the
Anda.
Pero bueno, entré ahí, and as I was walking out of the parking lot into the store, I see a line of cars, all with men inside of them, like this.
Yeah.
And they're basically sitting in the car waiting on the phone for the wife that's in the inside of the Whole Foods doing all the shopping and all the things or whatever. Y me encabroné. I wanted to just knock on all the doors and be like,
I would love that.
Bien cómodo que tú estás.
I would love that. Get out of your cars.
What are you doing? Are you checking the bank accounts and managing the bills? Porque you don't look like it.
No.
Are you
He's
buying and trading stock? Are you buying and trading stock?
Right.
What are you doing?
No, they're looking at their boy gossip.
Somebody on a Facebook post. And
there's not even sports gossip to really get into. Now they're doing all their feelings and their points of view and perspectives in sports porque no hay nada que hacer but think. Y ahí andan pensando.
Están pensando.
I may have gotten a text the other day because my son was playing with a friend of his on our rooftop. The mom of the child and I stayed upstairs and we sent the kids downstairs because my husband was in here.
Uh-huh.
And I knew he wanted to go work out.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew at some point he was going to leave the children. And I received the following text. What am I supposed to do with these kids?
Wow.
That's when I start telling people to put them in their butt.
I don't know. They've been here for roughly 12 years. So collectively.
Yeah.
So
what was your response?
Yeah.
I didn't answer.
Emoji finger? Oh, good. That's the best. That's the best answer.
That's always the best.
That's the best.
I do that all
no,
the time.
espérate. Oye, Mariceli just said, anyway, si se van a comprar, dejan la mitad y es peor.
Right. That happened to me too. And I do lists también. And he comes back sin las cosas in the list. And I'm like, ¿por qué tú vas? ¿Por qué tú vas?
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's like, I'm like, did you have the list? He's like, yeah.
You know what my husband did? He came home and he said, there was no, I'm like, what happened with the Italian bread? He's like, there was no Italian bread. I'm like, there was no sliced Italian bread in the bread aisle at the grocery store. Y tú sabes lo que me dijo? Pues no, yo pensé que tú estabas hablando del Italian que viene in the bag from the deli. And I'm like, sí. ¿Y cuándo andamos comiendo ese pan? You think that I just reached out of the air some random
Today I want
fresh baked French roll when I said Italian sliced? No.
Mira, Clarissa asks, what are we supposed to do with the kids? Hello, what are the choices?
Put them back where they came from. I wish we could.
No.
Which would be with us. No, yo no quiero eso de vuelta. No.
I would rather them be
If
in my
you're-
belly than on the outside. Yo no puedo con todo
If
esto.
you- Era como más fácil.
You don't want
Era como más
Fácil.
fácil. Era como más fácil. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're wondering why Wendy and Lori and I switch languages when we're going to speak about our husbands, es porque son americanos.
Y están aquí.
They're there.
Y están aquí.
They're outside.
Entonces
Entiendo.
entienden. Entonces, if those of you that don't speak Spanish, yes, we do badmouth people in our own language. It's not a myth.
Everyone does. They're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
get
so
over
the
it. You
Vietnamese
would do it too
lady-
if you were bilingual.
They're doing it. They're
Right.
doing it. They're all doing
Right.
it. So I know my husband was like, I think I'm going to learn Spanish with Tallulah. And I was like,
Mm.
not going to work.
Oh, yeah. Mike always threatens me, too, that he's going to learn Spanish. I'm like, no, you're not. You can't bring me
Mira esto,
Italian
mira
sliced bread de la tienda. Tú vas a aprender español. Tú nunca. Tú nunca.
He goes, I don't know Spanish, but I know bochinche. That's what he said.
That's fair.
Listen, Elvira,
Well,
oh my God, I have
yeah.
to provide aisle locations or screenshots porque no lo encuentran.
Yeah.
Wow, you are really
Yeah.
on that.
I can
Mhm.
scroll down. I'm
Mhm.
sure I have pictures of bread brands and cosas así también. You know what? We are all women.
Oh,
We
yeah,
are all
Miranda.
doing this at all times. All
Miranda
of us
says
together.
they be coming back with something you've never bought before. It's so correct.
What about the infamous Hormel
Yeah.
chili can from Wendy?
So
What is-
Hormel chili,
what is-
yeah.
I see.
No,
No, but it still upsets her. Maybe we shouldn't bring it up.
no,
Because
it's
it
that
still
it's
upsets
that,
her.
it upsets me, and then it's a bad night for the rest of the night for
It's
him.
a bad night to them. But look at this. Or they come back. See, this guy showed up with Bimbo white enriched crap.
Oh.
No, mijo, no.
No, No. ever.
Mira, dice Melissa that your husband does know bochinche.
He does.
does.
He actually gets tone really well.
He does. And we're really, the other day, Wendy y yo estamos hablando de mi esposo en the living room, cuando él estaba en la casa.
Yeah,
Entonces,
waiting.
ahí andamos, and then we occasionally enter some other random bochinche in English para que piense que estamos hablando de otra cosa completamente.
My God, we've never
Diferente.
talked about this. You're
Y
like,
entonces, sí, no, I know, girl. I know what we're
Their
doing.
strategy.
Entonces, él entró al living room y dijo, hoy, y no sé si Lorena te dijo, pero no vamos a ir a este fin de semana con mi mamá. And I had just been talking about that, honey.
yo me hice la
He
nueva.
had no idea. Se hizo la nueva. No, I had not heard.
I was like, oh.
Mhm. Which is
Mira,
a whole other
no
thing I'm
estoy-
dealing
It
with.
was a whole
No, me.
yes. So
It's those little things
Sadly.
that you can get away with that I really, in my private little place where I can't control all the things around me the way that I want, I really appreciate those moments. The little
like
things you
that
get
too.
away with. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's all we have left.
It's
It's
always
like
that.
it's like wearing a bra 2 days or 3 days in a row without washing it. Así que nadie sabe.
Nobody
Only
knows.
you. And you get to wear your favorite bra 3 days in a row.
Bras are super expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
I'm always shocked at friends
Not
of mine that
safe
have
to watch
like,
them all the time.
no, you can't. I'm teaching that to my kid. Like, what is this? And please wear that pajama more than once.
Yes.
Yeah. You're fine.
Or when they throw their pajamas right away in the dirty laundry from a night of sleep, I'm like, what did you do? You slept. Pon esa pijama in the
I
drawer
know.
and wear it again tomorrow. What are we doing? Aquí no se crece tied on the trees, honey.
No.
No.
No, I'm nervous. Now I'm like low on my pods and I'm like, God, are they gonna be at the store? Anxiety.
Are we
Wear
all?
face four.
We are, but we're all dealing with that same little sign at the store where the Clorox wipes used to be. That's like telling people to only take one and it's never there. I'm like,
And I'm upset with you people because that was my go-to, okay? That and the magic eraser. And all of you people decided to start cleaning your homes. I've been cleaning. Okay? And now they're gone. I'm sorry. I had to say that public service.
Good. Tell them, Wendy.
I have a platform.
I've been cleaning longer than you.
Who is cleaning now? I wouldn't be cleaning now.
Everybody. Porque ¿quién va a dejar que alguien entre en la casa ahorita para limpiar? Los americanos. Not me.
Los americanos.
Not me. I clean my own house with my own germs.
Yeah,
with mi cubo and my mapo.
Eso.
Yeah, with my cubo.
With mi cubo and my mapo. You know, we were talking about teaching our parents stuff and how they get it wrong and all that. I get my parents on this YouTube conversation the other day. And you know how my mom, like, you know, I've always gone to therapy. My entire life I've gone to therapy. Yeah. And my parents encouraged it. So I remember one time I said that my husband was going to therapy because he needed boundaries with his parents. And my parents said, pero tú no. Porque aquí nosotros no necesitamos boundaries. Esa cosa es para los americanos.
I love how she went nosotros.
Boundaries. Los boundaries.
You are included in your non-need of boundaries in this family. What is up with that?
Nosotros no.
That's a family thing.
Yeah, and so I've been dealing with them and everything that's been going on in the United States. And so Puerto Ricans did the whole shut down better because they wore their masks and they behaved. And my mom's like, nosotros no, porque nosotros pasamos ya por un huracán y aquí hemos vivido sin luz, sin agua. Yeah. This is going to be fine. And the same thing happened with racism. No, nosotros no. Aquí eso no pasa.
Aquí eso no pasa.
Nosotros no. Mira, aquí eso no pasa así como pasa allá.
Okay.
Como pasa allá. I have to give it to her. I do have to say that they didn't have the kind of segregation that they had in the United States. So when my parents arrived to go to college, they were shocked at the fact that, you know, blacks couldn't sit at a counter at Woolworth, that they couldn't drink from the same water fountain, that my mom's like, what is that? I don't understand it, because our races are so blended together, right? And because our social...
It was more of a quiet thing. Like, those people are
it's more of a quiet thing, right? So she didn't even know that there was... No, and she didn't even know that there was a difference between, like, the Irish couldn't date the Italians, and she was like, "What is going on?" So then I had to explain to her, "Yeah, but this is how it's manifested on our island." And my parents at 81 were like, "Oh."
Wow, sometimes it just, you know,
it never occurred to.
It never occurred to them, and it's an experience thing. And the famous Toni Morrison, I just watched a documentary on her. She wrote Beloved and all sorts of others. She's a Black writer. She talked about that being kind of her experience too, because she had come from a really diverse early childhood, and it wasn't until she got into college where she started to see, like, segregation in a real way, even within her own group, right? She felt like even the Black students were self-segregating, which is something that we've talked about in the Latino community here as well. But sometimes it takes, like, the experience of something and the commitment to want to delve into that in order to see things beyond your own perspective and point of view.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I know that you guys spend a lot of time educating. And I think what has switched in the narrative this time, it is on us to learn, right?
Yeah.
And it's on us to ask the questions and listen, right? I was telling Wendy, I think, that I was talking to a Dominican friend of mine yesterday who lives in Miami. And she's light-skinned like me. And she's like, but now we can't say anything. And where are we going to stop? And I said, let's be real. You've never been in the receiving end of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. You're not going to have certain conversations with your son because he's light skinned. I don't have to either because he is light skinned. And she went like, Oh my God, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
And she said that this Hispanic actress got a lot of crap the other day because she said she used to filter, and she had said, "Ay no, que me veo, que negrita me veo, que fea me veo." And that people went after her, and she's like, "But she wasn't meaning it that way." And I said, "Think about it. Just think about it. She grew up thinking that the negrita in her family wasn't as cute as her. Yeah. She doesn't know it, but hopefully she'll be like, I." And then we don't have a need to say that, right? We don't need to. I know that happens a lot in for Wendy and I, who are Dominican and Puerto Rican. It happens in our families all the time because Wendy can have a cousin that looks like me and is pale as hell. And then they call Wendy La Negrita, and they think it's sweet, but she wasn't perceiving it that way.
No. When I went to my family's house, my father's father was of like Dominican in Santiago, was like he was a wealthy man there, it's a well-known name. And so when I went there, they had never met me before. I was like 15 before I met everybody. And then I walked in. I don't know why I'm. Do you guys hear that? No?
Yeah, I hear you echo.
I hear you. It's just that I took my earbuds off because my battery was low.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So let me just.
No, I can't hear you now, baby.
What you do?
She's hearing herself talk through your computer, so you gotta plug in or no sé.
La otra es la de Haití.
Okay. Yes. So anyway, I'm sorry. So I walked into their home. And we all were like, what's happening now?
Can you hear? How about now?
Y'all, this is real. This is what happens.
Yeah. Darth Vader has absolutely joined us.
Darth Vader has joined. So anyway, they didn't know me as my father's daughter. They hadn't, met me before. I don't always go to Dominican Republic, and they thought that I was the hija de la sirvienta. Because
how old were you when that happened?
I was 14.
Wow.
Tell you like
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there.
Hold on.
Anyway,
we're gonna keep it going. But yeah. So that I was 14.
And that stuff defines you, right?
Right.
Those experiences are defining you.
Absolutely. You guys, it might be the muerto.
It might hear you.
Hello. Oh,
I hear you good, Betty.
Oh, okay.
I'm having audio.
It's crazy. Sorry, y'all. Technology.
Her robot voice sounds wasted.
Robot is like.
Marie says, I have an aunt whose Italian boyfriend broke up with her because his mother found out that she was part Irish. Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Someone says to take out all of our headphones.
Okay.
No.
I unplugged and unplugged.
Okay. I unplugged.
I can't hear anything. This happened to us.
Someone's like, no.
Why don't you unplug
I don't hear anything.
Just unplug them.
Unplug it.
Hold on. Preference. Okay, what?
Someone's like, I think it's the wine.
It could be the wine.
Here.
Or it could be los muertos.
Hello.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Mad.
Did your computer get some wine?
No. I'm not interested.
Steve, el americano, tú no sabes estas cosas. Arréglalo. El americano no sabe de esto.
This is the troubleshooting liveness.
This is live. This is live, y'all.
Cut Anna off. You're cut off, Anna.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
I
me?
hear you, drunk robot. I don't know what's
The
happening.
little robot.
They hear me.
Yes.
Miracle finish calling your story.
Do you think that we have a Zoom bomber?
No.
Do they hear you?
Even though we're not in Zoom. Trademark.
Can you mute yourself for a second, Anna?
Yeah, mute.
Gotcha.
Ah, that's wonderful. Okay.
Lori's like, just for me personally.
Okay.
It was
I
overwhelming.
want to get back to this conversation that you were having, Wendy, about your experience because I feel like we're all in a place where we're dealing with this conversation day in and day out, right? That's part of our cultural existence right now. And I think that it's big to be able to kind of point out the things that you maybe didn't notice before until you put your thoughts to it. I know for me personally, my experience has been different, even though I've dealt with different levels of like assumption based on my Latinidad. It is not the same experience as someone that presents very specifically Black or Black Latino. And so I did my own part of like diving in further and learning more about it since it's not my immediate experience. And once I did that, I was like, holy cow, this is happening in a very real way. It's not just a complaint thing. So if you could talk a little bit more about how because I know that you've been on a great journey to self-identifying.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey. Thank you. It made me realize that, I grew up in New York first, so that was a different experience because there are so many different, you come up with so many different racial identities around you in New York that you tend to think that is the microcosm of the world. And it so happened to be that year that I went to visit my father because he had moved back to Santiago and I had never spent time there. So I went there for that month, but it was the same year, summer, that I moved to Florida. So in my own country that I felt was like me, they took me out of that community. We moved to Florida and it was the South in Florida. Right. It was very Black and white there when I moved there. And then that same summer, I went to Dominican Republic and spent a month there. And so it was just like, I was in culture shock from my own American culture, from, the Dominican culture. I had always identified as Dominican, but then I went there and like my cousins were like La Americana. And I was like, never part of any one thing ever in my life. And even in my family, because, my dad, it presents very European and because of his father, but then other parts of my dad's family are Black as well. My sisters are more mestiza and like, it's different within my own family. So even my mom presents more Black, but like my aunts and my uncle didn't and were more European because my grandmother was more European. So it was just like, you constantly have to self-identify. So when this conversation came up in the last 10 years, it was a discovery towards that. And I've been working in the diversity, equity, and inclusion, facilitating that discussion with corporate spaces. But through that journey, I have identified for myself what that looks like. And I
Guadalice del Carmen wrote this play called Not for Sale, and she coined this phrase, decolonize the culture. And to me, it's a lot about decolonizing my mind, because we come from those islands. We come from Latin America that was highly, highly colonized, the first of the colonies. And we are still being affected by those things that happen to us.
We're not even noticing. And that's what Ana was speaking to with her friend that was like making the comments about that, and Ana trying to like be like, hey, this is not your experience, you know, dig a little deeper. And I've been finding myself in those conversations, especially with white people, where they will try to explain to me because they work police officers or because they worked as firemen, where the culture in those spaces they're just different. And I will have people try to explain to me, well, the culture is different. And if you walked into this room, what's acceptable in this room is not maybe what's acceptable in the outside world. And I'm like, rise to the world. Right? Yeah. Why do you have to hold back in order to accommodate your space? You know, when it's something that is affecting others negatively so often, which might be outside of most people's experience.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really about, I think this time in the civil movement, you know, at first the civil movement was just like exposing this to a lot of the country. A lot of the country didn't know, because it wasn't their experience, and because they weren't around Black people at all, didn't know that those atrocities were happening within that Jim Crow era, all of that stuff. Now in this part, so what MLK did, all of those activists, they said, you know, the ones who are not racist, please show yourselves and support us. And now it's like, it's not enough to be not racist. You have to be anti-racist. It's like a muscle that you're, you know, because we grow up in our communities and sort of segregated culturally and within what we grow up as. And, you know, yeah, your parents had no idea because they grew up on the island and they never had the experience of being in the States and living with what the States look like. And like, I think of my grandfather getting here in 1947 with this color and working on a country club, and he never talked about it. And I just wonder, oh my gosh, what his experience, how it must have rocked his world to move here from the island at that time.
Right.
So it just you know, so that's why I say, like, it's not enough to be like, yeah, you're not racist. Okay, you don't do that, but you perpetuate systems if you're just silent.
Right. So. And then it comes back to that conversation of privilege too, that I've been seeing a lot of my Latinos friends have, you know, on social platforms, and realizing that people feel like the word privilege is such a bad word and an accusation that takes away their struggle and their obstacle and their things. And that's not what that is, right? And I know we've talked about this amongst each other too, of like, why is this so offensive? But I forget too that we are so involved in the artistic community where this kind of conversation is encouraged. Like, we open the book and we get in there and we get messy in it because this is what artists do. But like, general population doesn't get to unpack stuff like that.
No,
with so much.
They never get the space. Yeah, they never get that space to do it, and it's hard to have those conversations. Like, you have to get uncomfortable, you know. And people are not comfortable getting uncomfortable.
And they feel threatened because it's uncomfortable, Ana. I agree with that. I agree that we are not comfortable with being uncomfortable as a society. We're not taught to be uncomfortable. Brene Brown is like one of those white lady voices out there that's like touching on this. Yeah. And inviting the discomfort into your life is growth, and it's such a good and healthy thing. And it's okay. It's okay to dive in, and you don't have to be public about it. You don't have to be on your social making a big stink. No. I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I don't necessarily always lead on a confrontational argumentative angle either, even though there's absolutely space and need for that. I like to go out into my neighborhood immediately and look at people that are trying to do things to be inclusive and thank them. Right? So I write love letters to my neighbors that have Black Lives Matter up on their windows and houses, because they are telling my entire neighborhood that you are not alone and we are trying. you know? And then a lot of people that are, you know, trying to do local social activism and getting involved in their local government. My current alderman isn't really living up to what I need him to live up to and the expectations. And so I'm like, that's something close to me that I can delve into and chew on. And nobody would know about it. But there's that coach that viral video is going on about right now. I don't know much about football, but he spoke out about Black Lives Matter and why it's important to say that, and why, you know, we have to acknowledge a problem in order to change it.
You have to.
You
have to see it
in order to change it.
If you pretend you don't see it, then it's just, you know, I was in a conversation today and someone was like, I just think that with my children, I mean, they're small, so I don't think that they, you know, they don't see color, and so I'll address it when it comes up. And it's like, actually no, because my identifying with my Blackness is about celebrating it.
Right.
I don't want you to be colorblind. I want you to see me for who I am, full self, and that is a part of it.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, like, everything gets so defensive, and I feel my take is like, let's take this as an opportunity to be curious, to learn something new, and maybe to change our perception of something.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And I mean, full disclosure, when you start tuning in and hearing, like when your ears begin to focus in on the inequities out there, your programmed reaction could very well be, it was mine. Full disclosure, honesty, because I feel like it's important to be honest, all of us, right? Was like, well, maybe they're doing something wrong, because my inclination is always to like respect police officers. I'm an immigrant to this country, so I was, as far as getting arrested or getting in trouble with the police, that was like no business for me. I knew I could not have that happen to me, and so I always held police officers in a very high regard. And my instinct, my knee-jerk reaction was to be like, yeah, well, maybe they shouldn't have done this, or maybe they shouldn't have done that, or maybe they, you know, reacted too strong and they should have been calm. But then I started to follow Sean King, who's an activist, and he is really good about putting that stuff out there for you to see with your eyes. And you can't deny it forever. After you really delve in, you're like, no, there are obvious differences in treatment here. And this is worthy of a closer look. Absolutely, 100%. And then once you do take that closer look and you see that this is a real thing, then there's nothing that you have to become active. You have to. You can't deny it.
I think it was important what you said too about, you know, learning it's a lot of times you can feel overwhelmed, right? You feel overwhelmed by all of these systemic issues and you're like, I don't know what to do. So I will sit here. I don't know. Won't do anything. And I think that it's important to realize you do have power within your sphere, and it can be really small. Like Lori said, just like literally talking to the other people with the Black Lives Matter poster, or your alderman, like bloom where you're planted.
Yes.
That said that, like, that bloom where you're planted. When you feel overwhelmed and don't know what to do with the world, shut out the world and start right here, right in your sphere right now. Yeah. And that's what we've been for each other, right? Ana has, you know, we've all been kind of unloading on each other our feelings, because it's a journey. It's not a destination. You just are learning. It's fluid. Things are changing as the world knows more.
Right. And we're all learning how to be activists, you know? And it's funny because I'll share a really quick funny story, but recently there was a lot of conversation in Chicago about whether the Supreme Court of Illinois was going to reject the police union's request to keep police records, for them to be able to close or destroy misconduct and flags on police's resumes, or however that is. And I was like, okay, I don't think that this should be something that happens. I think they should be able to keep this stuff open forever, even if it's already been that way. We shouldn't change that law. We should absolutely keep it the same. And so I got on my thing and I found the the email address to one of our Supreme Court justices, she's like kind of the head representative of all of them. Yeah. And I sent her clerk an email and I was like, I believe that we should not pass this law, and for the reasons that it's not protecting our most vulnerable citizens. And I didn't know, I was just trying. And then the clerk answered back to me and was like, yeah, we don't pass laws here. We resolve things that come up. So thank you for this, but I don't know what the hell you're doing. Aww. And I was like super humbled, right? I was like, oh man, I really got that wrong. But I started to exercise the muscle of trying this activism thing, because many of us won't even get on the phone to talk to our cable companies because we're at a different time and age, man. We're millennials plugged in. We do things online. We don't talk.
They don't like to be called. No.
And in order to make real change within your local government, that's the thing. You have to pick up the phone. You have to send the emails. That's what they listen to.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of old people doing this.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you, thank you, girls. Thank you, because you did a great job keeping the ship straight. I said ship straight.
Yeah. I heard you.
So, I was going to tell you one thing I wanted to point out, because I think I was texting you guys. I think that happens with a lot of topics. I just watched Athlete A on Netflix, and it's about the Larry Nassar scandal, that pedophile that abused so many girls in the gymnastics community. I don't know if you guys can like and tell me how many of you have seen it on Netflix. And it's called Athlete A, and it's about the first person who the first athlete who denounced him.
Oh, okay.
And the first thing when you hear it in the news, you go, where were the parents? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't let my kid do this. I wouldn't let my kid do that. Mm-hmm. And when you see these documentaries, you go, my God, the parents were in the same room and this guy was covering it so that he wouldn't see that he was molesting the child while adjusting the girl professionally. Mm-hmm. Or the child told the parent told the gymnastics association told them, don't call the cops. We got it, right? And you send your kid to sleepaway camp. You send your kid to a camp to be an elite professional, and they say you can only call her once a week. The signal's not good, right? And this kid had the courage to tell her coach, we were at that camp and this happened to me. And the coach tells the parents, and the parents tell the association. The parents were there. The parents are trying. Yeah. It's the judging. Well, you should have put your hands on the dashboard immediately. Well, he was trying to explain that was a wallet and not a gun. I'm going to go get the, so I have a problem, and I've always had, and now raising a 12-year-old who is a combination of Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta and Gloria Steinem. And some member of the LGBTQ community that I don't know yet. I've learned even more that life is not this or that. The gray areas are where the life is going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, and we got to get in there. We got to get in the gray. And I tell that to my daughter a lot because she's a very black and white kind of thinker. And I'm like, you pick me for your mama, honey, because I live in the gray. That's what I live in as an artist. And I walk around in it and I take it in and I live in its discomfort and I learn from it because we can. That's our responsibility. And then we open doors for people to be okay with the discomfort,
Yeah.
You have to make it safe. Yeah. You have to make it safe. With the pronouns, I put that on the bottom of my email. And people are like, hey, what does that mean?
Yeah. But artists
like, are you like, you're married
to immediately were like his, her, him, she, her, hers. They immediately were like, I'm stepping into it. And even for me, yo soy una vieja, man. I was like, another thing, they and there, and I coño.
English is hard enough for us.
But
English is hard enough for us.
A little learning from my end validates somebody's entire existence.
Yeah.
that's really what this comes to, is that some person can just own themselves in their skin and be happy. And that's worth whatever thing I have to go through.
Mira,
Same thing.
Swearing Mary, that is because you are liberal parents. You let them learn for themselves. But I do have to say, she doesn't mean liberal in the way of you're a left-wing parent. Is that Mary, who we all love, comes from a family that was very conservative, very strict, and very set in their ways. And that's why I admire people like Mary, who have broadened her horizons and listened, right? And said, you know, they didn't have the secret to what this life is about, and we need to learn to evolve. Like my parents, who at 81 said, "Oh, that's why we don't have that many black bank tellers in Puerto Rico." Yeah, because they don't put them there. You know,
positions of power.
Right. So
doctors.
Right. It's the same thing that, like when I told my mom I had a female gynecologist, she was like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
Ay, nena. Y yo, mami. Y ella, ay, nena, pero no te da cosa. And I was like,
you have my parts. I'm going to go with the one that has my parts.
I'm going to go with the one that, exactly.
That has the same plumbing.
Yes.
I want the one with the same plumbing.
I want to say to DK that yes, love and acceptance is taught at home, and it starts there, you know. I'm not saying you have to jump on the bandwagon of, you know, we all curb our morals and our things to what is right for us and our family. But like, if your point of view is stopping someone else from living their life fully, I think you need to check it. You got to check yourself and say, is this really worth somebody else's denial of existence? Is that really what I'm meant to do? Is this why God put me on this earth, to stop fully themselves?
Además, like that great saying in Spanish, ¿qué te cuesta?
¿Qué te cuesta? Yeah.
It doesn't, is it extra on you? Well, maybe the they thing, because my brain doesn't work that way. My prepositions are awful. But, pero ¿qué te cuesta?
Right.
Yeah.
You're not living that person's existence. That's on them.
And it didn't hit close to home for me until I sat at the table with, you know, with transgendered people who were opening their hearts and expressing their experience to me. And I was like, man, I was such a, like, how embarrassing for me that I ever was like, I can't say they there, you know, how embarrassing. And I will do better. I will do better moving forward. And I'm an artist. I'm supposed to be even more open to this stuff. So I empathize with people that don't get that advantage of like unpacking and sorting through these cultural things, but there's spaces for it. So look for it. You don't even have to be public about it. Just go and start being curious for yourself. The curiosity of learning.
You're not going to change anyone by shaming them on social media. You're not going to. Those conversations you can have privately. I was watching a panel today on Hispanicize. That was really interesting. It was with moms and influencers, and the panel was very diverse. There was a woman who has written about miscarriages and being, you know, she says in the Latina world, they never talked about that. It was like a taboo. And then there was an influencer that works at Univision, and there was 2 other moms and influencers, right? That used to be bloggers and whatever. And they asked them, you know, what about now? What do you feel is your responsibility? And one of the women from Miami is from an African dad and a white mom from Spain. So her relationship with racism has been different than how she's raising her American kids in Miami, right? So she thought she was giving them the tools, and then she's like, oh crap, I did it all wrong. Let me start over. Let me educate myself. But she said one of her family followers, who follows her clearly because of her message about miscarriages and success stories and so on and so forth, she was saying that person's from Utah, has never, you know, she said, I'm not raising my children in a world of diversity. Where do I start? What do I do? And she was like, she did it privately. I did not have to out her anyway. And I said, okay, I need to use my platform just to show by example, right?
Right.
You have to be affirmed by your society too. Like you can't just be, you know, nobody wants to be the outsider or the outlier. You know, there are very few people in society that wear the outlier well, and they only got it because of their reaction to the outsider, right? So like you don't want to, it's nice to be affirmed. I think that's the great thing about social media. We have groups that we can be in. I've learned more about my community through these Facebook groups than I've been able to do so outside of my door, you know. So you like are connecting with people in your community and like being affirmed by what the other folks are doing. A comedian in our midst, our Patty Vasquez, you know, she ran for office. Like that was really big and awesome for all of us. And like you can do that. I can do that. Like we can do that for, well, I might have too many cosas en my clase, pero tú sabes, uno puede.
that whole thing of stay in your lane, that doesn't exist anymore.
No. We're too exposed to the world, you know, like that's why all of this is happening, because our messages can be amplified in so much quicker than, you know, back in the day. People had to get on a ship and then go over there, and by the time they got there, the story was whatever.
It takes us investing, and then we do have brave people like Patty that will step up and be like, I'm gonna try and
Patty's on.
Oh, is she? Oh my God, great. She's all of Patty's failures are a door to a new success, and it's so exciting to be a part of her journey in that way. So yeah, staying in your lane is old school. Times are changing, and we have to affirm each other, especially women who are so smart about this stuff, man. We are so intuitive about this stuff. And I see women getting bogged down in whatever the dynamic is at home sometimes. They don't want to speak outside of the family thing, but we are the original tribe keepers. Like, we need to step up and tell our families and show them by example in our own curiosity and education that this is worth learning about. The community that you can, I mean, just this month alone, my efforts to say hi to my neighbors, to look them in the eyes, to not allow myself to walk past anybody in my neighborhood without acknowledging their existence. You know, we have to connect to each other again. And that's part of it.
I'm kind of glad I don't live by you, porque yo no podría con el nivel de
No, I'm actually this brings up something, because I was going to be like, don't you guys want to buy a house with a yard around here? It was actually on my agenda.
to open the backyard.
We have plans for our girls.
We have plans for our tribe. You need us, Ana. Come in.
And the Americanos need themselves too.
They need each other. They need
in my neighborhood, in my street alone, I have people that have lived with each other for 20 years. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this are going to relate to this. People live with each other for 20 years and they don't know each other's names, you know? And then my husband and I came in and we were like, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Do you know this one? This one has a baby. About to have a baby 5 years. We're going to get together. We're going to open our garages. We're going to social distance. We're going to get to know each other, because in this pandemic, who ends up becoming your closest circle are your neighbors.
Honestly, I am thankful that we moved to a neighborhood where the school is there, because my children and I have been able to go to someone else's house for help. Like when we were commuters at a school, it would take 20 minutes to get to somebody's house for a play date, for help. And they were very helpful, but this was hard. But now, like my security blanket, my security nest, you know, the network is here, right? They're a block away. They're 2 blocks away. Today, Alex could go to a friend's house and play outside in their backyard, so I could do all this, right? And he's been there for hours now. And so, you know, I feel like there is a value in that connection. My neighbors in this building, I am closer to these people than I used to, because you know, the bottom ones are empty nesters. So we're ordering food together. We're there. If I need to leave the kids for a second, they know where they are, and that kind of thing. You know, you know me, I don't even like to travel with people, and I'm like, let's do a 4th of July up here with the neighbors. My husband's like, te caíste, te diste la cabeza.
It's so good. It's so good to connect with people in your own neighborhood like that. It really feels amazing, and people are surprised and sometimes taken aback but always appreciative.
Right.
Always appreciative.
Right.
Yeah.
Ladies, these are según the experts, we're supposed to do this for like 30 minutes.
I know.
I know.
Sorry, Mary and I and Natalie never do it for 30 minutes. And it's impossible. I think with 3 people, with the conversations that we can have and the thoughts that we bring, we cannot limit this. So if you are watching live, we appreciate you for sticking with us. And if you're not watching live, I hope that you watch the entire broadcast because we go from laughs to deep conversations to, again, when are you moving over here? You're leaving all crammed in one house. So I really appreciate you guys being with me. There is today I'll keep texting you. And we'll keep doing this together. It's the only thing we can do.
Yeah. We love you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Bye, guys. All right. So that was Dominique Zuelan with me on Whine Wednesday or Wednesday Whine. I know it's longer than it usually is, and it got really deep. But there are conversations that need to be had, and that's what we're here for, to have those conversations and to have some wine and get over hump day. If you're watching the rebroadcast, leave me a message. Tell me if you enjoyed the conversation. Mayor, I know you want me to have one more sip. Jefa, thank you. But, mira, what I have is the backwash. Everyone, have a happy rest of the weekend, wear your masks, stay socially distant, enjoy life, and we will see you next Wednesday.